Welcome back, everybody, to episode 22 of Two Crime Besties. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Hey, Emma.
How's it going, Meg?
Yeah, good. We've had a good morning. We're travelling okay. We're just both panicking that we don't have our ducks in a row today, but I'm sure the brain matter will, fall into place.
One would hope. I feel like I say to Peter every night before we record, oh my God, I don't know enough. I need to cram. It's like cramming for an exam or something.
Yep.
But I feel like we always end up knowing more than we think we know.
Yeah.
Or at least being able to discuss more than I think we think we're going to be able to discuss.
It reminds me of that feeling in the car as I drive to school on a Friday when we turn on the Squiz Kids. You listen to that podcast too?
Yeah,
if you
it's
don't,
great.
guys, with kids, it's great. It's a news program.
Daily news podcast.
Yeah, and so we have a bit of a drive to school, so it's great. It fills in our time when the kids are actually learning about general interest stories,
current affairs. Yep.
And so on a Friday morning they do a quiz, and it's 5 questions for the kids versus 5 questions for the parents, and they are so unfair.
Oh, so unfair.
And so every time the kids obviously win. But I feel that panic every time when it gets to that Friday morning when the kids, they're answering their 5 questions. And then when Bryce says to everyone, all right, parents, let's get the grey matter in, working and everything. And I'm immediately like, I don't know anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know nothing about current affairs.
Yeah, exactly. What do I know? Yeah. All I know is what's popped up on my Instagram feed this week.
Exactly. Ask me a question about, Taylor Swift this week and I'll be able to answer it. But yeah, oh God, yeah, panic. And then, they win anyway, so I barely ever get any questions right. Do you ever get many right on that?
I've equaled with my kids before. They always get 5 out of 5. One of my sons in particular has amazing recall. He's just got a brain for it. So he can remember facts. Look, I think as an adult, we have so many things that we have to remember, and kids literally just have to worry about remembering answers for a quiz.
Yeah.
But
a lot of the questions sometimes are names of politicians and stuff too, which I'm like, I know that that's happening in whatever country.
Yeah.
But don't ask me the name of the politician that's involved in it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so how did you go this morning?
Oh, I sucked. I think I got 2 out of 5.
I think I got 3 this morning.
Yeah. No, I didn't do great.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the kids got 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Yeah.
But they
are really easy.
They give so many hints. And look, Mason generally gets them at the first instance, but then there's all these 10 bloody clues as to what the answer is after that. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, make it easier.
But I guess they're spanning primary school, so
totally.
From the younger years. But anyway, it is a great podcast. Check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah,
it's great.
Has there anything else been happening in your life this week?
No, pretty regular week this week. Yeah. No, not too bad. But I hear you've got a new member of your family.
We do. We've taken on a new member of the family, and I couldn't be more delighted.
That's beautiful.
It really is. It's beautiful. We've named him, and he's actually, really settled well into our family.
Yeah.
We got a robo-vac and mop.
Most valuable team member, probably.
Absolutely. If anyone's thinking about getting one, so we've had him for a bit over a week now, and he is brilliant. So I think it took a few goes around the house to map it out, but he's got the house completely mapped out now.
Love that.
He knows where he can mop and where he can't mop. We didn't have to tell him. He just knows that he's going on carpet or going over a mat, and he won't
feels all that
mop the mat. He'll just even if the mat's on a tiled surface.
Right.
He's great.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to know, it's a Robo-Rock. We're not sponsored by them, but
please
if
do.
they want to.
I'll take one. I love that when we were out last week and you guys had just sort of got it, and Peter had sent you through the video of him he put the GoPro on it.
Yeah. Oh, Peter's loving it more than I am.
The joy on his face in the video as he's leaning down and getting into the camera shot of the RoboVac going around was absolutely gorgeous.
He's been testing him out by putting different substances on the floor and seeing if he'll be able to clean them, for example. So we've had
in his element.
Oh yes, he's loving it. We've had Milo on the floor.
Yeah.
We did flour because he thought maybe the flour mixing with the water, what if it no
clog it?
All good. Anyway, highly recommend.
I love that. That's so beautiful.
Anyway, let's get into today's case.
Yes.
Today we're talking about Maria Corp, and probably best known as the body in the boot case. Again, this story is based in Victoria, and it's one that I absolutely remember.
Yep.
And when we were looking into this case, there were things about it that I'd forgotten and then was reminded by when we were looking into it.
I can still visualise like the news stories that were coming out about this at the time. It was very salacious.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit of scandal involved, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which we will get into. But so first of all, the case, I guess, is about a woman named Maria Corp. She was born Maria Matilde on the 14th of January in 1955 in Madeira, Portugal. She was born to quite a poor peasant family. They lived in a village that was quite remote and they lived off the land. Yeah. Apparently they had quite a big property and they were fairly self-sustaining. And I believe their house didn't even have running water.
Oh, wow.
Or flushing toilet. To think of somebody born in 1955 growing up in a village like that, it sort of is a little bit unfathomable.
Yeah, for us living, suburban Melbourne, that sort of stuff. Yeah,
so, I mean, she grew up, very happy. She had lots of brothers and sisters and they were a very good, devout Catholic family. And Maria was brought up, with faith being sort of a real cornerstone of her upbringing and of her family. She lived growing up in that village. I guess you only have access to certain people, but she met somebody she actually had a couple of loves of her life when she lived there. Yeah. Growing up, she had a neighbour. His name was Fernando. I know his name was Fernando. Love that. And they sort of grew up together and then fell in love. But he went off, I think it was to the Angolan War, and he was killed there. So that was, a fairly short-lived relationship for her. Yeah. And not long after that, she actually met a man by the name of Manuel de Gosh. They met in Portugal and married not very long after. She was 19 when they got married, so incredibly young.
Yeah, definitely.
They decided, I guess, to be looking for better opportunities and somewhere to raise their future family. And they decided when Maria was 21 years old to move to Melbourne. Did you find out any information about why they chose Melbourne?
No, not particularly.
Because I don't think it's not like they had other family here or anything like that.
It was all on their own, which, I mean, God, that would be that's such a huge step to make. So incredibly brave, to move to a whole other country. People who do that floor me. I'm so impressed with them, to be able to, then they didn't speak much English or barely, I don't think they spoke any English when they arrived. I love the stories of, how they did learn to speak English by speaking to their neighbours. They basically have, English lessons out in the street with their neighbours, which good on them. That's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
They moved to Coolaroo to start with, so sort of northern sort of side of Melbourne. And then they eventually settled, I think they bought a home in Greenvale or bought a unit in Greenvale eventually. They went on to have a daughter by the name of Laura. And, it was quite an idyllic little family life. It was the three of them. They established themselves here. They had jobs. They were, going about their lives as any immigrant would and really sort of assimilated into Australian culture. And Maria, and I believe Manuel as well, they still upheld a lot of their customs and traditions from Portugal. They certainly still practiced their Catholic faith.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when Laura was 9 years old, Manuel died of a heart attack.
Yeah, tragic.
Incredibly tragic. And so that left, I mean, how isolating must that have been for Maria?
Yeah.
They had no family here.
She was on her own then as a single mum, entirely, no family with her at all. That's really hard. And I know that there was thoughts of maybe going back to Portugal at that point, or even prior to that. I think Manuel was keen to sort of set himself up sort of financially, I think, to then go back to Portugal. It was kind of what I think that's, if he had stuck around, that's potentially what he would have pushed for. Whereas I know Maria was absolutely loving living here in Australia. So she really when she did become a single mum, she really buckled down on going, no, I'm going to do this on my own here and stay in Australia. I mean, she could have just picked up her daughter and taken her home to family and things in Portugal and had a support network around her in that way. But she wanted to stay here in Australia. She saw the opportunities and she was such a hard worker. She's just impressive.
A very impressive woman.
Yeah.
To be in that situation, I can't even imagine. To be in that situation with with no family support. No. I mean, I assume if you're in that situation, your friends sort of become your family and become your support network. So, and from what I can gather, Maria had quite a close-knit group of friends who sort of rallied around her and helped out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I just don't know that anything really substitutes family.
Yeah. I mean, it depends, I guess. I mean, everyone's different in that scenario of who your family is, I guess.
That's true.
And what your connections are with them. But I mean, I know you and I would both be the same in terms of our connections to our families. I wouldn't be without them. If tomorrow I was offered the world's greatest job internationally, having to pick up my kids and move without my family around me, even though there's this bucket of money being dangled at you, I think I'd say no. Because I would want my family around me, kind of thing. Whereas obviously she found her independence, and wanted that life for her daughter.
What a different life. So she obviously wanted something better for her daughter than what she had. So, she's grown up in a peasant village with, as we said, no running water, living off the land. And I believe as a child, her and her siblings worked the land. Yes. They would go to school for a few hours in the morning, but that was it. Yes. And then they would be working. So she obviously wanted a better life for Laura or a different life for Laura. And so she stuck with it. And as you said, she worked really hard. She had a full-time job while Laura was going through school.
Yeah.
She worked full-time at the South Pacific Tire Factory. Mm-hmm. She was a factory hand and that would have been a really hard job.
Oh, I bet.
Physically difficult job, I think. But apparently she excelled at it. Apparently she was fantastic. She was really reliable, did all the things she needed to do. And I think because of the type of work that it enabled her to be at home in the afternoons and evenings with Laura.
From what I could gather, she would finish work at 3:30. In time to go whip down the street and pick up her kids from school. So,
that's it.
Yeah.
So at the South Pacific Tire Factory, she met what would, I guess, come to be the third love of her life, Joseph William Corp. Now, he was born on the 4th of July in 1958 in Swan Hill, so in regional Victoria. Mm-hmm. He, as a youngster, was a bit of a character. I don't think school was for him. Mm-hmm. He wasn't very academic. I've heard, and I know we used this word in a previous episode of ours, but he was quite a charismatic young
Perfect
man.
Word, I think, to describe him.
And it has been used by several people.
Yep.
He was a Collingwood supporter. He was very sporty, apparently.
Maybe we should just clarify for various listeners about what Collingwood supporters, what this sort of the stereotype of a Collingwood supporter is.
We might lose a few listeners if we actually say what we really think.
Well, it's AFL, it's Aussie rules football, for those international, I guess, but we have the Magpies, the Collingwood team, it's basically fairly well known that you basically either barrack for Collingwood or any other team.
Yep. You love them or you hate them.
You love them or you hate them. There is if you don't barrack for Collingwood, you hate them.
Yep.
If you barrack for Collingwood, you are Collingwood through and through.
Yep. And there's a bit of rhetoric around Collingwood supporters not having all their teeth and...
And they're generally sort of more working class, I guess, in juxtaposition to that, the Melbourne supporter like yourself. There's a kind of a stigma around what that stereotype of what that looks like compared to a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah. Anyway, Collingwood. But, to each their own.
Yep.
Anyway, so Joe was a Collingwood supporter through and through. He bled for Collingwood, was as they do. Staunch supporter and had been his whole life.
Yeah.
He joined the army when he was 19, I think. And look, I guess my dad grew up in the country, not near Swan Hill, but he grew up in regional Victoria, and the opportunities for young people are quite limited. So a lot of, country kids choose to join the army or as a way of getting
It's a
out.
good way out. Yeah.
And you get good pay and good benefits and good supports. You learn skills. And it is a bit of a pathway out that's not, necessarily, heading to the city for university or anything like that. So he joined the army, but he wasn't really an upstanding member of the army. He went AWOL a few times.
Did he?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And
Not
like,
sure.
I think, eventually, I don't know how he left or whether he was told
honorably
to
or
go.
dishonorably
Yeah,
discharged,
I'm not really
sure.
sure. I couldn't really get that much information around it.
Yeah.
But it just kind of gives a bit of an insight as to what he was like.
Yeah.
He just sort of didn't really commit fully to anything. And
No, that's such a good way of putting it. He didn't commit to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually married a woman prior to meeting Maria, and her name was Leonie. She has had there's a little bit about her out in the media. She has said things about him that then inform a lot of what has happened after he meets Maria. Mm-hmm. But then looking at that through the lens, I guess, of like, she was his wife and then he's cheated on his wife with Maria. We will get there. But so she's a woman scorned, I guess, as well.
Yes.
But the things that she says about what happened in their marriage and in their life,
Yeah.
really, it's just the pattern just keeps repeating with this bloke.
Absolutely.
They met in high school. She wasn't interested. He pursued her and pursued her and pursued her until she basically couldn't say no. He used to rock up at her house with flowers, and he told her everything that she wanted to hear. He said that he wanted to have a family with her, that he wanted to marry her. He even spoke, I think, to her family about marrying her before they'd even gotten to that point in their relationship. Like, it was all just, it was his way. It had to be his way. And anyway, they had 2 kids together.
Yep.
I didn't really go into much about those 2.
Yeah. I think he had access to them once they split.
He didn't. I think he did rekindle his relationship with his daughter closer, like much later on down the track. But I think the relationship was strained and he didn't really have much to do with them. So he met Maria while he was married to Leonie at the South Pacific Tire Factory. I think he was like the factory manager or something like that there, was he?
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
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 And again, he pursued Maria. She wasn't not looking for a relationship, but she also wasn't, looking for a relationship. Apparently, from what I've heard, several people described Joe as, at the time, I mean, number one, charismatic, but also like he was quite good looking, even though I look at photos of him and I'm like, was he though?
Was he, or did he just tell you that?
Yeah, maybe, I mean, everyone has their type. There's someone out there for everyone, but, I guess he wasn't unattractive.
He wasn't unattractive. We'll put it that way. Yeah.
He really pursued Maria as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is actual fact because I haven't actually seen this anywhere else, but there is a telly movie that was created about this.
Yeah.
And it stars Rebecca Gibney as Maria Corp. I love her.
Oh, so good. Packs of rafters, all that stuff. Oh,
she's awesome.
Yeah.
She stars as Maria Corp, and there's a scene in this TV show, so I don't know how factual it is, but he's pursuing her. She's a single mum, money's really tight, and her refrigerator breaks down.
Right.
And he then just rocks up to work one day and he's bought her this like state-of-the-art, amazing fridge that, Maria could only dream of because she didn't have that much money.
Yeah.
And so he kind of worked on her like that.
Love-bombed.
Absolutely love-bombed her.
Yeah.
He'd buy her flowers and she kept rejecting him and pushing him and pushing him.
Geez, that's funny. I've heard that before about him. Is that... Yeah, there's a pattern here, is there?
Oh, is there? You're starting to glean a little pattern here.
Yeah.
And, it got to the point where she felt like she couldn't say no.
You feel like, you kind of repay this man. How, someone who's doing such nice things for you. How do you then say, oh, but I don't want
I'm actually not
you.
that into
I'll take
you.
the fridge.
Yeah, I need the fridge. So if you could deliver that tomorrow morning, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, look, I don't know whether the fridge story is true, but it was in that series.
But I'm sure that's a vibe, though, that was definitely there, if not factual. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, they've started this relationship while he's still married to Leonie.
Yeah.
At the start, completely unbeknownst to Maria.
And telling his wife, oh, no, Maria's just a work colleague.
Yeah, but she's like, well, I keep hearing this name coming up more and more and more often.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Absolutely.
So they ended up, obviously, Leonie and Joe split.
Yep.
And like one of the quotes that I saw that Leonie had written, I think this might have been, I don't know if this was part of the divorce proceedings or not, but she'd written a statement somewhere and she basically described him as possessive and controlling. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yep, that checks out.
On the 26th of October in 1991, Maria and Joe married. Have you seen the photos of the wedding?
Yes.
Oh, how funny are they? I mean, it's a very early 90s wedding, but she's got like the gypsophil or whatever it is in her hair and she's got the perm and the big shoulders, puffy shoulders, and it's like a total early 90s dream.
Oh, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
I mean, and not that Joe was necessarily like rolling in the cash, like as in like, I don't know that he was like ridiculously wealthy.
Not at
all.
all.
He did make some very wise choices, I think, financially, because he did buy this really big block of land out in Mickleham, which when I saw that, I'm like, I know that as a suburb, but I don't know Mickleham whatsoever. It's not an area I have spent any time in.
Unless you're going to the airport.
Well, yeah, that's my only like connection to that suburb.
Yep.
And so I actually got onto realestate.com just to sort of see what houses and what sort of things are out there. And like God, Mickleham, Jesus. Like, I mean, we're talking, this was 2000s that he bought that land.
So he bought the land in 1998.
Yeah, right.
It took them 7 years to build the home on it.
Yeah.
So it was completed in about 2005.
Yeah, they'd only just finished it when shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
But like that, he was very forethought in doing that because that area, holy cow.
There are some stunning homes and they're on acreages.
Massive.
Yeah, so
houses.
I think their block was like 5 acres.
Yep.
But did you see like literally over the other side of the road is dense population housing? Like so the other side of that road, I think it's like Lower Plenty Road or something.
Okay.
No, it's not Lower Plenty Road. That's completely different.
No, I was like,
anyway,
that's
wherever
not
it
the
is.
right
No. It's some road, but there's a main road dividing it. And when you have a look at their house, where their house is on Google Maps,
right,
on one side of the road, there's all these acreages and absolutely stunning like mansions.
Yes.
And literally on the other side of the road, I think is Coolaroo.
Right.
And it is
all built up.
But I mean all new houses as well because it's like a really recently developed area.
It's all coming in through from the city basically, and that's the next suburb to boom kind of is Mickleham. Like
exactly. So where he's bought. Oh my God. Like that was a really intelligent decision.
Split the land later once it starts to build up more, etc. There was so much that a very intelligent financial move, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he built this monstrosity of a house on there. Huge. And I love that when they built it, though, that she had her prayer room, basically. She had a shrine, all these sorts of things for her. She was very into clairvoyance. She was very into her Catholic church. So she had her room of all of her things. And then he had his Collingwood room as well as like, I think about 5 or 6 bedrooms on top of that.
It was 5 bedrooms.
5, yeah.
But when I was looking at it, actually, it was 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Like, wouldn't you have a third bathroom? Anyway.
I'd want a third in that.
And a 3-car garage and a massive shed out the back.
Yeah. Massive shed. Yeah.
Huge.
Love that. So man shed.
Yeah. A massive man shed. So it cost them, I don't know how much the land cost, but the house cost them about $500,000 to build back then.
Well, I mean, then they did bloody well because in 2005 it sold for $970,000. And that would have been cheap because of
what had
scenarios.
Yeah.
And I mean, today it would be worth $4 million.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. It's huge. So, in amongst this time, so after they got married, while they were still building the house, they actually had a son together.
Yep.
His name was Damien or is Damien. And so obviously Maria still had Laura from her first marriage. And as we said, Joe's children from his previous marriage weren't really part of this at all. They were estranged from one another at the time. So essentially in this giant mansion, it was Maria, Joe, Laura and Damien. And Laura by this stage was an older teenager into adulthood.
Yeah.
So she was kind of doing her own thing, coming and going as she pleased, but lived at home still.
Yes.
Maria would pick up Damien from school every day. He went to Greenvale Primary School, which was very close to where they lived. And I think often Laura would actually take him to school because Maria started work early so she could finish early to get to school to pick him up.
Yeah.
And she would Maria would leave work at 3:30 and be at school by 3:40, 3:45 to pick Damien up before he was shuffled off to after school care. Our school does the same thing. They've got like a second bell, like our school finishes at 3:30. If there's still any kids whose parents haven't picked them up by 3:45, there's another bell and the kids have to go to the office. Yep. Kids have to, the yard duty teachers go, right, have you got a parent? Have you got a parent? Anyone who doesn't?
So we have to be careful claiming certain children. We're like, oh, that one and that one's mine, but not that one.
Yeah. I can't assume responsibility for that child. So it's just a fairly typical thing. And if there's any kids left over, I'm assuming the school
left over. I love it.
Just left by the wayside. I'm assuming parents get called or they go off to after school care or whatever.
Yeah.
So Maria would go every afternoon, pick Damien up from school. Now he was, I think, in grade 5 at the time.
Yeah, he was like 11. Yeah, so he was, older end of the school too. He was capable to be left there after the bell and wait.
Yeah. So this was 9th of February 2005. Damien's waiting for his mum to pick him up from school and, the second bell goes and she's not there yet, which is a bit unusual. And
But not completely,
apparently he was playing on the playground and just keeping an eye on the road and, she was nowhere to be found, which was a bit weird. So the second bell goes, he does the right thing and goes into the office and says, my mum's not here.
Yeah.
So they try to ring Maria's mobile phone and they can't get a hold of her. Apparently over that 20-minute period from when he got to the office, over the next 20 minutes, they called her 3 times and her phone went straight to voicemail.
Yeah.
Again, a bit strange. So they've called Joe and said, look, we can't get in contact with Maria. Can you come and pick Damien up from school, which he did. Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
Yep. So he's arrived to pick up Damien, he was like, oh, that's really unusual, but maybe she's had car trouble, and I'm guessing this is sort of, early mobile phone times, I guess, too. So, if your phone's dead, it's dead. We don't carry around chargers, I guess, like we do these days.
Yeah, that's a good point,
or have
actually.
car chargers and things like that. I don't think so. I think, you would sort of be a bit, oh, look, something's happened. That she hasn't been able to reach someone. Sure, this will all be fine.
Yeah, maybe she broke down or...
Yeah. So he's picked up Damien and he's dropped him home and stuff, but he's then gone and done a bit of a search around the streets, started to sort of drive around and sort of see if he could spot her.
I think they actually went home first and noticed her car wasn't there and were like, oh, that's really strange.
So that's when he was like, she's got to have broken down or something or had, car trouble. So, he's driven around the streets even to sort of see if they can spot anything, but nothing. So that's when he's kind of like, this isn't right. I believe it was that evening.
Yeah, so I think they went home and were tried calling her again. Laura got home from work and Laura got home from work as Joe and Damien were driving out to go and look for Maria, but they didn't stop one another to sort of figure out what was going on. So it was once Damien and Joe got home from tracing where they thought Maria may be, that Laura found out that there was even anything going on.
Right.
She'd had no contact from her mum during that day, which I don't gather was unusual.
No.
It's not like they were in constant contact or anything like that. But by 7:30 that night, Joe decided to go down to, I think it was the Craigieburn police station and report Maria missing.
Yeah.
And so kudos to the police on this.
Yeah.
They jumped right on it. They were checking phone records. So because Joe had said, I haven't heard from her. They were able to verify that.
Yep.
He'd had no contact with her that day.
Yep.
They even verified with his workplace that he was at work the whole day. Mm-hmm. They called friends and family. Nobody had heard from her. They were on top of it that night.
I think it was even that night they sent someone to follow Joe home.
They did.
Yeah. So they were cute.
Oh, sorry, that was actually the following night.
That was the following night,
Yep.
was it? Yep, sorry.
Yep.
Jumped ahead.
No, you're right.
Because he was very upfront. Like when they first interviewed him, he was really, really upfront around the fact that, look, things weren't great in the marriage, but they're working on it. And so he said, there wasn't any argument particularly that day or any of those sorts of things. But the cops looked into this pretty quickly and discovered that there had been a court hearing
the day
before, where they had gone to the court for the two of them to Joe and Maria together to remove an IVO that had been put out on Joe. Now that's interesting, and that all cute. Everyone seems to have done the right things along this way as much as they could have. I really feel that this was one where, and especially back in that era, I think more so.
We're talking 20 years ago.
Yeah, talking 20 years ago. This is kind of like, I'm really impressed with what went on here. Clearly it was very obvious things were not right, because the judge in this case pulled Maria aside away from Joe saying, are you sure you want this IVO removed? And she was like, no, we want it, lifted. And he decided, the judge, that he would remove majority of the IVO restrictions, but would keep certain things in.
I thought he only removed the distance restriction.
He only kept in the stuff around harassing and, Maria. So there was only, I think, one of the multiple orders left in.
Right.
But, I mean, look, and that should just be common decency that people don't harass and bully people.
You shouldn't have to have a court order to state that. But anyway,
but it
just
basically flags it that if she was to go down to a police station and say this has happened, it's not, that happens. Well, go away.
He's breached
it, and therefore it makes it that next level.
Yeah.
But it's it should just be common decency. But yeah, the fact that IVO had been put in place previously for various reasons, that judge was on it, which I think's amazing.
Yeah.
As much as he could, where when you've got the two people standing in front of you, and so the thing was, the judge also, to his credit, told. When he went back into the courtroom, he said to them and to Joe that, look, I understand you want this lifted, but the court cannot just do that. He didn't say Maria's asked for this. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't put it back on Maria at all, that this is her fault, that this is happening. He took total onus of it, saying, I am compelled to leave this in, but I'm happy to remove this, this, and this.
Yep.
Which made sure that then the two of them leaving wasn't putting something on Maria that was then going to cause more domestic issues.
Do you know why the IVO was put in place in the first instance? Why? I couldn't actually find any information to that.
Now that you're saying that, I'm trying to think what it was. I do believe, to be really honest with you, the only thing I think I did find out about it was that it was actually put in place by police.
Yeah, so there's been
there's two different ways you can get IVOs in Victoria. Is that one that you can apply for one yourself in a situation, or police can actually apply for it on your behalf. So, and I believe it was police applied for this on her behalf.
If the police apply for it on your behalf, do you have to consent to that, or can they do it?
No, you don't have to consent to it.
Okay. So they can put one in place because of something they've seen, or
it can be because they've witnessed something, or something's been, disclosed to them that puts a reasonable issue in place, which, I mean, again, it still has to go through the court system and be approved via a judge.
Yeah.
But
it's not an easy thing to get. No. So, in order to get an IVO, something really significant must have taken place. You have to have very serious
evidence as to why it needs to be in place. You can apply for one. Anyone can apply for one, but actually having a judge put it down and go, yes, this is going to remain in place is not easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of speaks to what their relationship had kind of deteriorated into because...
And thinking about it now, I think actually part of it was that I think it was actually his brother, Gust. Have you pronounced that? I think it's Gust or Gust.
I've heard it pronounced both ways.
Same.
Yeah.
So I believe he had disclosed some issues that he was worried about Maria's safety, because he had been working on Joe's computer and he had found some emails that were concerning where there'd been some back and forth about, I don't want you involved, it's got to have to be me. There was he had found, I think it was, I'm trying to remember now from all my reading, that, there was something that Gust, I think, had actually disclosed to the police, that meant that they were concerned for her safety.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And then she's gone with him down to the court to say, "Oh no, I'm fine. I swear,
Don't
I'll
need
be
that
okay."
in place now. Where everything's good now. Which, obviously rang up alarm bells for the judge too. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think when Joe went down to Craigieburn Police Station, though, to report Maria missing, he didn't say anything about the IVO.
No, he didn't. No.
But anyway, the police have obviously been able to easily find that out.
Yes.
It's in the system.
Yeah.
They did put a bolo or a be on the lookout for Maria's car because Joe did say that Maria's car was missing, and so she drove a 1995 burgundy Mazda 626 sedan.
Yep.
They were everywhere back in the day, weren't they? Like a Mazda 626.
Yeah.
I just feel like everyone had one, or everyone knew someone who had one.
Yeah. Which is funny because I'm going to bring something up about that later.
Okay. So they, they've put this bolo out, put the number plate out, and, start investigating all of the rest. The police also found out that night that Maria hadn't been at work that day, and her supervisor or her boss said it was incredibly unusual that, like, she just would, number one, she was an incredibly reliable worker, very hardworking, and she had never in her history of employment not rocked up to work without letting them know.
Yes.
And so
very rarely probably ever took sick leave, I dare
probably,
say.
yeah. She seems like that type of person, doesn't she?
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, they're starting to investigate this. I feel like the police probably had a bit of a hunch.
Well,
right
as
from
I
the
said
get-go.
before, I think from the following day, then they started going, hang on. Like now that once they sort of from that first initial, she's missing sort of thing, they then, once they spoke to Joe a bit more and got a bit more information. Which was the following day. All that sort of stuff. By that evening, they were like, you know what, when he leaves here, we're just going to put a tail on him. So they had some cops follow him home from the police station. And at that point, he, on his way home, pulled over, took a bag out of his car, put it in a wheelie bin, got back in his car and drove off. The cops have obviously seen this, pulled over, grabbed that bag, and taken that into their possession to see what was in there. And look, there wasn't anything overly... There was a lot of stuff going on for this bloke.
Oh, so much shit going down.
They did actually look at his house. They did sort of to go and see if there was any evidence there. They couldn't find any blood at that, in first glance of anything. They checked to see if whether there was luggage missing. They checked to see if there was clothing and those sorts of things had gone. But there was no activity on bank accounts. There was nothing missing out of the house. Her phone was missing and her wallet, but that was it. So they couldn't really say that she certainly didn't look as though she'd gone, I'm packing up and getting away from this guy, which is a reasonable in this situation. Maybe she'd decided I'm out, I'm getting out, and I've.
But then I guess her friends and family, when they were interviewed, because I know they interviewed Laura the following morning, and they interviewed Joe.
Yeah.
And they then went and, I guess, informally spoke with friends and family. Yeah. And all of them said, no, she wouldn't have left. She wouldn't have left her kids. Yeah. There's no chance.
And even Joe, in all of his interviews, which I think they found very confusing, was because he spoke about her so beautifully and she wouldn't have left her kids. He was very no. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, because in his mind, he's like, I'm innocent. I've done nothing. This is what's going on. And I'm just telling you what you need to know.
But they asked that all-important question, though, didn't they? And they asked him, is there anyone that you can think of that would want harm to Maria? And he answered that question quite quickly.
Oh, immediately.
There is one person that I think would really want to harm her, and that is my piece on the side previously, Tanya Herman. And he's made out that this Tanya is someone who is now an ex of his.
But she was obsessed with him.
Obsessed with him and didn't really want to move on, and that she wasn't happy that I was staying with my wife.
Yep.
Let's get into Tanya Herman.
Can I just say, previous to this as well, Maria did know about Tanya.
Well, yes. There's many reasons why she knew about her, though.
Yeah, there's so many different reasons.
Again, what the fuck?
Maria found a dating profile of Joe's on their shared computer. Mm-hmm. What a dickhead. If you're going to hide it, hide it.
Can we talk about his dating profile for a second?
Oh, is this got anything to do with the Latino love god?
Latino love god. Which, excuse me, he's not Latino. The dude, I couldn't find out exactly what his nationality was, but I found out that there's like maybe some Indigenous Aboriginal in him. Australian, basically. Like, you know, not Latino at all.
Like, he just had so many lies on his dating profile. Like, he said he was 40, but he was 46 or 47.
Yep.
Yeah. He said that he had, like, 2 children when really, like, he probably had 4.
He also said that he owned his own construction company.
And he was the boss.
Yeah, he didn't own his own construction company.
And he had a team who he, like, managed or whatever.
Yeah.
He, you know, so I guess he's had this dating profile and he's met Tanya Herman through the dating profile.
Yeah.
So Tanya's an interesting one. She as well has had, like, she had
pretty
some
shit relationships.
Yeah,
one after the other, unfortunately.
Yeah. She'd been married before. She'd had a relationship. So her first serious relationship, I guess, resulted in the birth of a daughter. She then married, what was the Herman, Andrew or something?
Oh, I can't think of
Adam?
his first name.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry. But she's then married the Herman man. And they've also had a daughter. The eldest daughter of hers never lived with Tanya after she and the partner had separated.
Yes.
So there's not a lot about her. I couldn't find her name or anything like that.
Because I couldn't, wherever I kept saying she was a mother of 2, and everywhere I was reading, I'm like, but where's
there's
the
only
child?
this one
There's
child
only one being
that's mentioned.
Yeah,
she lived with her father and never had
Right.
anything to do with Tanya.
Okay.
Again, I don't think.
Yep.
So, you know, so Tanya ended up splitting with Mr. Herman. And because apparently he was like an alcoholic, he was abusive, it was just not a really
She'd
nice
had toxic relationship after toxic relationship, unfortunately. For her, she knew how to pick them. Yeah, big time.
And didn't she?
Oh, yeah.
So she's met Joe on this, you know, on this dating website and like loved his profile. They've matched. Sheila was living in Echuca at the time, which is on the border of Victoria and New South Wales. So it's a significant distance.
It's a good 2.5 hour drive for him from Mickleham.
Yeah, so they were meeting up. Like the first time they met, I think they were talking for a while online.
Yeah.
And then they decided obviously to meet up. He's driven up to Echuca for a bit of a rendezvous. But then, you know, they continued this semi-long distant relationship. They'd meet halfway and I think they were like doing it like
in the car.
And like, apparently they would meet at Lake Epilogue, which was like a dry lake.
In between.
And they would just like do it on the dry lake bed. Ew. Like, how dirty would that be?
Yeah.
Like, that's just gross.
Yeah. But then his same pattern evolved around it as well in terms of like the love bombing situation. He's then like moved her down to Melbourne, leased her a house for her and her daughter. He's paying for that lease, which she then rolls her daughter into the same school as Joe's son and Maria's son.
Maria knows that Tanya exists because she's seen photos of her. She saw this that we will actually pop this photo on our socials because
we will.
it's
I remember
it's
this.
iconic.
Oh, it is iconic. It totally is. I remember this photo being coming out like on the news and stuff, and it was like so like, oh my god,
it's salacious, isn't it?
But it's so not like when
it's
I look
not.
at it now.
I know. But at the time, it was.
At the time, yeah.
So it's Tanya posing in Joe's Collingwood Guernsey.
And nothing else.
Oh, she was wearing boots.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, who wouldn't in the 90s? I know.
So I don't know. It's just, you know, as you said, it's a pattern repeating itself.
Oh, yeah.
Tanya introduced Joe to her daughter, you know, fairly early on. And Joe's daughter...
He kept telling Maria, because she knew about him, like about her. And Joe's response to her constantly was, she's just a work colleague, which I find really horrible because Maria was just a work colleague.
Yeah, he was fucking with her.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah. He was fucking with her right from the get-go.
Totally, yeah.
So this little girl, you know, she's attending, what a shit situation for her. She's attending the primary school that her mum's lover's son also attends. Awkward.
Oh, apparently they would like bump into each other at the school gate. I mean, can you imagine the car park mafia? Jeez.
Oh, the Mummy Mafia.
Mummy Mafia would be going. Oh, they would have been loving the rumour mill. Would have been amazing.
It would have been going off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There'd be no hiding that too.
No. Because I think she did have a go at her, Maria. Like, I mean, she was feisty and she wouldn't back down.
No.
Yeah. Oh. But I mean, for Maria was basically like, she knew that Joe was doing this, but she was a single mum previous to this. She was determined that her relationship with Joe was going to withstand that and that they would hopefully be together. She wanted to not be in a situation again when she was on her own.
That's it. I think,
which is really
I think
hard.
Another thing that played into that as well was her Catholicism,
Yes,
and
definitely.
that divorce is like really frowned upon in the Catholic Church. And so, and they'd been married in the church. They'd sort of done all of the right things by the you know, whatever. And so for her, I think divorce was just not even an option because it went against everything that she believed in and everything that she'd committed to when she married Joe.
That's right. So she was like, Tanya, you need to fuck off.
Yeah.
But
back the fuck off. But Joe had promised Tanya the world.
Yes.
He'd promised Tanya that, you know, he would marry her, that they would have children. He would leave Maria. They would have children together. They would travel. He told her whatever she wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And Tanya fell for it. Joe not only love-bombed Tanya, he also love-bombed Tanya's daughter Taylor.
yes, yeah.
And would buy her like really extravagant gifts, like brand new bikes and clothes and dolls and toys and, you know, really. And so Taylor wanted this too.
She wanted him around. And Oh, yeah.
Yep. When by the time Tanya had moved to Melbourne, to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Joe and Tanya were on all kinds of websites. So they were on swingers websites and
posing as married couples, meeting up other meet up other couples.
And look, if that's what you want to do, no judgment. That's fine if it's within a consenting sort of area. But, you know, this again, you think about Maria in this context and, you know, apparently Joe and Maria, in terms of what their expectations were sexually within their relationship, they never aligned. So Joe always wanted more sex than what Maria was willing to,
he blamed that. He sort of used that as his, this is why I have to seek it out elsewhere because you're not giving it to me.
Yeah, and he wanted to do things that Maria didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Instead of respecting that and, you know, maybe having, you know, a respectful conversation around it or some agreement within
compromises in terms of what they were both comfortable with.
Yep. Yeah. No, he just went and sorted elsewhere. Yeah. And, you know, from what I can gather, Tanya was up for whatever Joe was, which again, in a consenting relationship, that's your business.
But like poor Maria's there. I mean, I think she dyed her hair blonde. She did all sorts of things to almost make herself appear a little bit more like Tanya. Yeah. Which, just that my heart breaks for her to like try.
And I don't know how this information got out there, but I read in several different sources that Maria actually was engaging in sexual acts that she had never previously consented to. I think because she wanted to try and keep Joe. And keep Tanya away.
There was also, she was actually on a website with Joe and her as a couple. There's questions around whether or not he did that to sort of show that, whether he put that up and she had no idea. And he was using that as a bit of a, look, see, we were working on our relationship. Like, you know, she was wanting to be part of that. Or whether maybe she had no idea of it, or was she doing that to try and please him and was participating in it? Many of her friends say there's no way she would agree to have her photo up online and put it out there that she would be involved in that stuff. So there's a question mark over whether that was a bit of a red herring that he was sort of placed out there in the world to kind of go, see, look, my wife was into it.
But see, I can't. I actually think Maria had no idea because
I do too.
She was so private with things like that.
Yes.
Even her friends say that she never spoke about things like that. You know, like you might have a bit of banter with your girlfriends around your relationships. Like she just didn't have that. No. They didn't talk about that.
No.
And I mean, I guess the word prudish was bandied about by her friends, basically saying, oh no, we never spoke about sex. We never spoke about those kinds of things in our friendship circle because it was sort of, that was between her and Joe.
Yeah.
So they didn't know what their sexual relationship was like. And I mean, fine. But then Joe's portraying this image that, oh no, Maria was totally up
She's into
for
it. Yeah.
swinging. I mean,
That's a massive
that's
step.
a big step.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then was Maria then trying to maybe keep up and meet Joe, where Tanya was at?
Was it coercive control of like, you better do this, otherwise I'm going to leave you?
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, it's so horrible. It's so horrible. So we're now at the point where Joe has been interviewed and has popped Tanya's name into the ether, into the mix.
And really kind of in that, he has really said, this relationship's over with her. I've been trying to tell her that. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that comes out around this time, I think it was actually in the interview, Joe disclosed the fact that Maria had spent something like $150,000 on like priests and clairvoyants, and that was a source of tension within their relationship. Yeah. So that was his, I guess, reasoning behind why she might have left or gone away or whatever. So Maria, and I think Joe drove her to this, over the time, like living with somebody like him. Yeah, I can absolutely see it. She's trying to seek answers. She's paying these fucking clairvoyants.
Well, he's making her feel like she's crazy.
Apparently she paid one clairvoyant like $50,000.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just to one person. Oh, and the rest of it was like donations to the Catholic Church for counselling and she had all this access to...
Did you know that I'm clairvoyant?
Oh, tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. This will be good.
I am really clairvoyant that I can tell anyone who wants to see a clairvoyant that it's absolute bullshit. You won't get out of it what you need. And I'll be right every time.
Good one. Yep. So someone probably should have told Maria that before she spent $150,000 on it. But then I just feel like that shows how vulnerable she was and how, she was really seeking answers. She wasn't getting any answers from Joe. So she was outsourcing that to people who she obviously had some kind of trust in or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe they were telling her what she wanted to hear and that fulfilled something for her as a stopgap in that time.
Yeah. Yep.
Who knows? Oh. The police then, after Joe's formal interview, and they found this bag of stuff. So in that bag, he threw away one of the keys to his Commodore, which I think is really bloody weird. There were receipts, a balaclava and some white powder.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's what was in the bag. Yeah.
So, I mean, some of that will come into play a little bit later. So just keep a little mind out for that. Because of what the police discovered in the interview, they were able to get that search warrant for the house.
Yeah.
And while they were searching the house, a police officer caught Joe in their walk-in robe, going through the pockets of some shorts, and he seemed
to be really cagey with it. And they were like, what's going on
This
here?
is fucking weird.
Yeah.
And he pretended, when he kind of got caught out, he pretended he was grabbing a jacket. I mean, it was February in
cold.
Melbourne.
I need a coat.
It was February in Melbourne. It's our hottest month of the year. We have temperatures in the 40s. I mean, I think at the time these temperatures were in like the late 20s, early 30s degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
But he's grabbed a jacket as a ruse, whatever. But in the pocket of the shorts that the police officer found him going through, they found this green key card, and that will play a little part a little bit later down the track as well.
Yep.
So he's put Tanya in it as well during this, so they've also executed a warrant at her house. They discovered at her house that Joe was the executor of her will and sole beneficiary of her will. They found the rental agreement that both Joe and Tanya had signed, and Tanya had signed it with Tanya Herman Corp as her surname. Really? They weren't married. They weren't even.
That's not even.
They
legal.
weren't even living together. But she had. That's how she'd signed it. And the most notable thing they found, and this is the thing that really informed what the police did next. They found a list. Now they have obviously gone through everything because this list was found at the bottom of a rubbish bin with rubbish on top. Apparently, lots of chocolate bar wrappers.
No judgment whatsoever.
And so on this list was written suit, balaclava, paper, gloves, socks, knife, shampoo, and conditioner.
Who writes a Murder list.
Well, who fucking keeps a murder list after you've...
That goes in
after
the little
something
noggin.
happens.
That doesn't go on paper.
And also, like, do you really need a list for such a short amount of things?
Yeah,
like,
also, but like, I love that there's shampoo and conditioner.
yeah, she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to need to wash my hair
I'm at
after
the supermarket.
this. So while I'm there, I might as well pick up other things I need.
I'm surprised it wasn't milk and bread.
Oh, God. So because of what they found, they escorted Tanya down to Broadmeadows Police Station for a formal interview.
Yeah.
And this is where she disclosed to the police all of the things that Joe had promised her, the marriage, the children, the house, the everything.
Yeah.
But he'd also said to Tanya that there was no way Maria was going to leave him. So, you know, what were they to do about that? What do you do? What do you do when your wife won't leave you or won't divorce you and you've got a bit on the side?
Did this interview happen before or after her brother came forward?
Before.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this interview happened on the 10th of February as well.
Yeah.
So the day after Maria went.
I mean, as I say, again, cops are onto this. They were very they did. I think this is one where the cops actually did their job so well.
Oh,
I really
can't be
do.
faulted.
Because in this interview, I believe they also, what they did was they kind of pulled a little bit of a bluff on it. Well, not really, because they decided to be honest with Tanya and say, look, you're telling us that you and Joe are a thing. You're completely 100% committed to each other. He's more in love with you than he is with Maria. Joe's not telling us that. He's telling us that you guys are broken up and that it's over, and he keeps trying to tell you that, and that Maria is the love of his life. And
Now,
to see what her reaction to that would be.
Now, there are only really short snippets of her police interview available online. So you can't see the whole interview, but you can see that bit.
Yes.
And there is a shift. There is a physical shift in her. Like, she's sort of like sitting there chatting with them. They say that to her, and you can see her, like, she almost tenses and becomes guarded. And I feel like that's the first point where she's like, I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Like, he's done this to me. I feel like that was the moment where it's clicked with her.
Yeah.
And she then, her tune does change after that, and she's like, okay. So they've been able to glean out of this that, you know, there's a lot more to this story than anyone is letting on at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
So a few more days go by. Everyone's looking for Maria, but this is a Sunday now, the 13th of February. There's a park worker by the name of Rick Brown. So he looks after the parks and sort of in and around the Shrine of Remembrance and sort of the outskirts of the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne. An absolutely beautiful part of the world and a really lovely place to visit.
Yeah.
He was not rostered to work that day, but because it's February, it's warm. I think he looked after the water features in and around the park, and he thought, well, they're probably going to need a top up because it's been hot, lots of evaporation happens, and so he decided to pop into work really, really early in the morning. I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. What a dedicated man!
Oh yeah.
And so he'd done what he needed to do. He'd topped up the fountains, and he was driving along Dallas Brooks Drive to go back to the depot. He was going to make himself a coffee and then head home. And as he's driving along Dallas Brooks Drive, it's empty. It's never empty.
No,
except
for Sunday mornings.
Sunday morning at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And he's driving along and he sees a burgundy Mazda 626 sedan. Now, this had been in the media everywhere, but he'd actually had a very particular conversation with a work colleague the day before about this.
Yes.
And that was actually what triggered his memory.
Yeah, he was like, that's that car we were talking about that's been on the news.
Surely. So he's, he says curiosity and concern made him pull over and have a look. So he goes to the front side of the car, passenger side of the car, and lots of condensation in the windows. He can see that there's like a mouldy salad roll on the passenger seat. There's lots of papers and pens strewn over the front seat. He can see that there's a black handbag upturned and an open Melways, like an open map book on the back seat, I think.
Yep.
And as he's sort of gone towards the rear of the car, He can smell a really, really foul odour. Anyway, knowing what he thinks this car is, he's obviously called the police and they've come in and cordoned the area off.
Well, this is when one of our faves arrives too.
Oh, I just love this woman to death.
Narelle Fraser happened to be part of the missing persons squad, and which their office is not far from this spot.
Just down the road.
I think she believes that, like she said, looking out of our window, we could almost have seen the car where it was parked, interestingly enough. So they got there very quickly from this report from this guy. They were down there within 5 to 10 minutes of the call coming in.
Which means that they were in the office at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Oh, I know.
Like it's mind-boggling. But
yes.
I think, you listen to lots of stories that Narelle tells and it's like a 24/7 job doing this role. So they were probably in investigating something else.
Well, no,
when
they were already on this case. They were already assigned to this.
Right. So were they in already working this case? Were they? Okay, right, that makes sense.
Yeah, they'd already been assigned to it.
Okay.
But yeah, so interestingly enough that they were that close to be able to go, oh my God, there's something, that we're there. So they've literally on foot got down there, and I think Narelle's words are that within like 100 metres of getting to that car, that smell hit. So they're looking at the car. I think they were questioning whether or not they were going to like crack into the car themselves and break in, but they decided to wait for the tech team to arrive to be able to open the car up without then, I guess, potentially ruining any evidence that would be on the car. They're all thinking that they know what they're going to find is a dead body. So eventually,
they said once you smell the smell of decomposition, it's unmistakable. You know what it is.
Yeah, I would hate to smell that smell. I hope I never ever smell it. So they basically finally got the boot open, and they find, unfortunately, in the boot is this emaciated, tiny body of Maria Corp. She was a 5'2" tiny
I think she
woman.
weighed something like 50 kilos.
Yeah. Really, really tiny one. And so let alone the fact that she's now been in that boot for 4 days, no water, no food. So they look at her and immediately assume
they're looking
that
at
she's
a corpse.
Dead.
Yep.
But Narelle Fraser, holy cow, she is an incredible person. She wanted to obviously make sure they've got to check that, obviously find vitals and check for vitals. To do that, she climbed into the boot. And as she was doing that to get to a position where she could check her vitals, she saw her chest rise and fall. Very shallow, but saw it. Immediately started yelling for medical to come and assist because she was alive. What the? And Narelle, who's a most beautiful woman, she was like, I'm staying with her. Yep. So she climbed into that boot and like basically cradled her. In her mind, she was like basically saying to this woman, keep fighting, we're here for you now.
You are safe. Nobody is going to hurt you again. Yep.
We've heard Narelle Fraser actually talk about this case in person.
Yep. We've seen her live quite a few times speaking about different cases. She is incredible. She has a podcast. Narelle has a podcast now called Narelle Fraser Interviews, NFI. Love that. She, if you ever have the opportunity to go and hear her speak live, she's amazing.
Such a gorgeous woman.
Such a lovely woman.
Great advocate for police officers with PTSD, and that's something her own journey has brought her to that. As you can only imagine, dealing with serious cases like this. So she's amazing. But oh my God, to be in that boot for 4 days, and this woman she's such a fighter to be alive at that point. Oh my God.
I don't even know how that's possible. No. Like, it was hot.
Yeah. And what she'd been through prior, because they could see on her body these marks on her neck.
She had a massive laceration to the right side of her head.
Yeah.
Apparently she had dried blood coming out of her nose and
razors
ears
and everything
mouth.
all over her face. Yeah.
So she'd been through it. Narelle stayed with her and went to that. She was taken, by ambulance to the Alfred Hospital, which is again not very far away, thankfully. And Maria was put into an induced coma, and while they assessed her injuries and like what kind of state she was in.
Yeah.
So by the time they'd sort of gotten to that point, so the car was discovered at 7 a.m. on the 13th of Feb. By the time Maria got to hospital, I think it was around 10:30 a.m. And the police were really just trying to put things together. So they had the forensics out at the car. They were trying to figure out what had happened. It was very evident just by the way Maria physically looked, that the intent to murder had been there. And obviously she's left unconscious in a boot.
Yeah.
She had like blood clots and ulcers and just so many horrible things. At 3 p.m, the police turned up to the Corp home and notified Joe and Laura and Damien that Maria had been found alive.
Oh, that was the other thing that I loved. Like when Narelle said, she goes, there was a massive argument by the police officers because they were all desperate to be that person to stand in front of Joe and say, she's alive.
Yeah. And apparently he was like, oh, thank God. Oh, yeah. How wonderful. I'm so glad she's been found alive. Oh, great, great, great. Laura visited straight away and went to see Maria in hospital. Can you imagine what that would be like as a daughter to see your mum in that state after being missing, to be just horrible.
Absolutely awful.
Laura immediately noticed, though, that Maria was missing her wedding ring, a cross pendant that she wore around her neck, and a pair of cluster diamond earrings and those were 3 items of jewellery that Laura reckons she had never seen her mother without.
Yeah.
So it was immediately noticeable. She asked the hospital staff, oh, have these been removed? Like, can I take them home with me? And they're like, oh, no, she came in. She didn't have them on when she came in.
Yeah. Joe was not allowed to go and see Maria. They did immediately put in place some restrictions around that. I mean,
they
obviously
reinstated the IVO.
Yeah.
Yep. So he had a 200-metre, I think it was, exclusion around her, so he wasn't even allowed on the hospital grounds.
No.
Yeah, I mean, good on them for acting so quickly in that respect too, because, I mean, they knew at this point, that he was involved somehow. They didn't know all of the mechanisms of it yet.
Well, I mean, I guess he's at least naming someone who he's involved with. And so at best, it's his ex-partner who's potentially infiltrated this and very much putting across that it was her and solely her. I guess that the cops just have to be, cautious.
Yeah. So the next day after Maria's body was found, that's when Tanya Herman's brother, Steve Deacon, presented at the police station. Now, he had a lot of information.
Yeah.
And I think, being her brother, I don't know, he probably didn't want to think the worst, but then once Maria's body was found and the circumstances by which she was found, he just couldn't not.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be plenty of family members who would just find that really hard to come forward. I mean, you don't want to think the worst of your family members or any of that sort of thing. So,
no way.
I mean, all credit to him.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. I mean, he would have had to. And look, thank goodness he did, because it just meant that they got to the end quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So his statement to the police was basically that that Joe was really controlling of Tanya, and he didn't like Joe right from the get-go.
No.
Joe had done some really, really, really weird and fucked up shit to Tanya.
Yep.
He'd faked his own death at one point. We haven't actually spoken about that yet. So, he was trying to break up with her, was he? Like, what the fuck? It was really weird.
Testing her. He was testing her. It was testing how faithful she was, and how much love she had for him. Because there was all the lies that were in his profile that she met first. She saw surely anyone would be like, oh, this is who the person is. And then you discover, oh, he's not actually 47. Oh, he is married. He's not single. Oh, he doesn't own his own company. She found out all of that was lies. She did find that out. She was even introduced to his family.
Yeah.
And found out things through them.
Yeah.
That then went, oh, hang on a second. He's not telling the truth.
Yeah.
Surely then you'd be like, oh my God, whoa, I'm out.
Hold on, wait a minute, you're married?
Right. Yeah,
oh, okay, that's me done. No.
Yeah. No. So she was very much in a coercive control relationship to be able to somehow be convinced that it's okay, he lied about all those things. So then the whole idea that he told her that he was going overseas to look after one of his parents back in a Latino country of sorts. I don't know which one, because I can't remember where it was going.
I've written it down. Give me one sec.
Yeah. He told her that he was going to look after a parent who lived overseas, but they didn't even live overseas. They were Australian. They lived here.
Yep.
But while he was there, he he had, was it an email that was sent to her saying that Joe had been in a car accident and killed whilst overseas. So then she, to the point where she was like, oh my God, I can't live any longer without him in my life.
Yep.
Was that when she attempted to kill herself?
Yep.
Yeah.
So she attempted suicide because she said she couldn't live without him.
Yeah.
That's what Joe wanted to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wanted that.
Yeah. And so then, but then randomly he just rings her and she's on the phone going like, wait, what? You're dead. Like, how fucked up is that?
And she just went, oh, I'm so glad you're not dead. Yay. But he said to her, oh, I was in a car accident.
It was miscommunication between.
It wasn't like, oh, I didn't know you thought I was dead.
Yeah,
No. I was just really badly injured.
The
11 days.
consulate got it wrong.
11 days later, I'm doing this in inverted commas. He returns to Australia. He'd never left Australia. And he's got not a mark on him.
No.
But do you think Tanya questions that? No. But her brother did.
Yeah.
Her brother Steve was like, what the fuck, man? You've been in this catastrophic car accident, supposedly overseas, and you come back and you don't even have a mark on you?
But then after that fact, she then meets his family. Like to go, hang on, wouldn't you then go, hang on, wait. You said to me that your parents lived overseas.
Yep.
No, now they're here. They live here.
Mm-hmm.
They've never been overseas. The whole thing just, what the hell?
Yep.
He was a piece of shit.
So it was Barcelona that he said he'd been
that's
to.
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she has not questioned anything, or maybe she hasn't felt like she could question any of it.
I mean, she's clearly been groomed her whole life in terms of her relationships and what her toxic relationships are her thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for her, I don't know where that started or what have you, like whether that was childhood or what.
Yeah.
But clearly she's been through
Yep.
a shitload of toxic men.
Yeah. So Steve also tells the police on that day that on the morning that Maria disappeared, Tanya turned up to his workplace in leggings, running shoes. She was really flustered, hot and bothered.
Yeah.
She told him, I think he turned up to her work at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Must be more like 8:30.
Yeah, so he worked in Elizabeth Street. So again, not that far from the Shrine really.
Mm-hmm.
And Tanya was a really fit woman. She was a runner. She was a triathlete, I think.
Yeah,
she cycled and whatever. And so she'd run to his work. He worked at a motorcycle shop.
Mm-hmm.
And she told him that she'd had a job interview that morning, but she was dressed in...
And then she'd gone for a run after it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And could he please take her back home?
Yeah, because she had to get there to drive her daughter to school. Her 8-year-old had been left at home
alone.
by herself.
Alone. Tanya then... So the brother takes Tanya back. She gets her child ready for school, and her child is dropped off at school late, and they know that because she was signed in at like 9:30 or something. Yeah. Taylor's obviously, put a few things together here. Now, 8-year-olds are observant. They know more than you think they know. Like, sometimes you'll say things, that's it, you'll say things in front of a child and think, oh, they're not listening, they're on their, device or something. They know. They know everything that's going on.
We know we can get more goss out of them than anyone else half the time.
That's it. And so Taylor has gone to school. The teachers report on that morning that Taylor was quite distressed, and that was not a usual thing.
Yep.
And
she didn't want to separate from her mum and stuff. Yeah. It was quite, yeah.
Yep. So there was something going on. Taylor actually disclosed to a group of her friends that that Joe and her mum were going to murder someone or wanted to murder someone. And these poor little kids.
I think she actually even used the word strangle.
Okay. So these poor little kids have taken that on, and Taylor's told them not to tell anyone, but one of the kids has said to her mum, oh my God,
this is what Taylor
told me. Yeah.
And which it was already in the news what was going on.
Exactly. So the mum's then gone to the police station and reported it.
Can you just imagine the rumour mill at that school?
Yeah. But I mean, look, the police can take that on, but I think there's a certain element of so much of that information was already out in the media. They took that on, and they obviously took the report, and that did go towards what ended up coming together
it
at the
lined
end.
things
But
up a little bit for
that's
them,
right,
for sure.
but,
It wasn't ultimately, evidence that would make or break a case kind of stuff.
No. But
it certainly
distressing
was
for
another level of
the school community. I mean,
bloody
those
oath.
poor
And that child.
little kids.
Holy crap.
Joe was not returning any of Tanya's calls during this time.
No, he even told the police, I am going to go around to Tanya's. Like, this was like probably before the body being found, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But like he did say to the police, I am just going to go around there just because I want you to know. Because I know that he obviously knew that they were following him and stuff, I think. But he was like, I just want you to know I am going to go to her place because I do need to just let her know again, like, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm just telling her again that it's ended. Like, which is not why it turned out that he'd gone there and
Yeah.
yeah.
He was playing the concerned husband.
Yeah.
He was putting her across as like an infatuated lover. She was obsessed with him because who wouldn't be obsessed with him?
Yeah, and that's like her brother Steve. I think that's one of the things he really wanted to get across in his interview was that yes, I think Tanya's involved, but Joe is too.
Yeah. And he even brought up the whole like brainwashing side of things.
Yeah.
Like he'd seen elements of this coercive control in the time that he'd spent with Tanya and Joe.
Yeah.
And so he'd sort of been putting things together. They'd even had a flippant conversation at some point where the suggestion of killing Maria had come up and it was joked off and laughed off at the time. But he then, in retrospect, is looking at that going, oh, holy shit. Turns out maybe that wasn't so much of a joke.
Yeah.
Steve then agreed to wear a wire.
Yes.
And visit Tanya at home and try and, get something out of her.
Yeah.
When he gets to her house wearing this wire, he, brings everything up. I mean, obviously this is at the forefront of literally everyone's mind.
Wouldn't have been hard to get that into the conversation.
That's it. And I mean, I guess he's a supportive brother. Like he is trying to help, Well,
she's also kind of brought him into it because by going to his work that morning, you're really roping him involved into what she's just gone and done.
For sure. That's
a bit of an
asshole
act in that sense.
Yes, totally. But she wouldn't have, I don't think she would have even thought about it.
No.
She needed an ally and he was the person she went to.
Yeah, good on you being a good big brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so he's wearing this wire and he's trying to get her to say things, but she actually says to him at that time, I'm not going to say much because I think the police have bugged my house.
Right.
They hadn't bugged her house. They'd bugged him. So they actually hadn't had any insight into what conversation she'd been having.
Yeah.
But look, she does say a few things that sort of, it was enough to sort of go, okay, well, Joe's complicit in this. At bare minimum, he's got some involvement. And that's kind of what they wanted.
Yeah.
They knew Tanya had done something.
Yes.
But they now needed to know that Joe was also involved so that they could really come down hard on that.
Yeah.
After the wire, after this conversation where Steve's wearing the wire, the police arrest Tanya.
Yep.
And she immediately provides this. Apparently, it started in the police car on the way down to the station.
Yeah.
But then obviously continued in a formal interview. She provides this like really long and emotional confession. She confesses everything. She basically said that Joe pitched the murder he'd actually been, so they had attempted to kill Maria on Christmas Eve the year before. Mm-hmm. You know what they'd done? Now this actually, I find this a bit funny. They crushed 24 sleeping tablets and gave them to her. I don't know how they, what the delivery was.
Yeah, right.
Because it just made Maria just a little bit sleepy. Like if anyone else had 24. So obviously she didn't have the full dose because anyone else who had 24 sleeping tablets would not be in a very good way.
No.
But she just got a bit sleepy and went to bed and woke up the next morning. Doing it on Christmas Eve is a fucked act. For then, those kids are going to wake up the next morning to a dead mother on Christmas Day.
That makes that day a great day for the rest of your life.
Assholes.
Oh, totally.
So that clearly hadn't worked. And then in early Feb is when Joe started pitching this idea of strangling Maria.
Yeah.
They sort of went about this plan, about executing this plan, and they bought all of the things they needed. They decided to strangle her with the strap of a bag.
Yeah.
So really heavy duty sort of strap. So they got everything together. Joe was adamant that it was the only possible way that they can be together and that this was the ultimate way that Tanya could show Joe that she loved him. It was an unconditional love because you were willing to do this for me. 7:15 p.m. the night before Maria's murder, Maria's attack.
Yeah.
They met at a service station near Joe's workplace and discussed the plan. So the plan was that Tanya would go there go to the house in Mickleham the next morning, wait in the garage and basically strangle Maria and kill her there, and take her in her car, take her in Maria's car and dump the car somewhere. They hadn't actually planned where they were going to dump the car, but he told her, you have to drive far.
Yeah.
Why she decided to dump the car in the middle of the city,
Oh, I don't know.
I don't get.
No.
But that's what she decided to do. I guess she had no other way. Like, she had to dump it somewhere where she could then get home.
Yeah, I think that's more the point. That was like somewhere where
Yeah. So at 5:15 on the morning of the attack, 5:50 a.m., Tanya arrives at the house. She crouches in the corner of the garage.
Yeah, Joe let her in there as he was leaving
for work. So he left for work at about 6:05. So they've had 15 minutes together to
he's
really
open the garage door and let her come in and like hide her and
apparently
all that.
They had a bit of a kiss and cuddle in the garage. He said to her, this is a direct quote from Tanya in the interview. He said to her, "I love you. You don't know how much I love you. Do you love me? Then show me."
Oh.
Yeah. Now, Maria was up already when Joe was up getting ready for work. She was making that salad roll that was then found mouldy on the front seat of her car. She was making lunch for Damien for his school lunch and leaving it in the fridge. I think Laura was due to take Damien to school that day, so Maria was just trying to get everything ready so that, they could get up and get going.
Yep.
Laura claims that she hears her name being called out or screamed out at about
6:30.
Yeah, somewhere between 6:15 and 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's coming from what she thinks is the bedroom.
Yes.
So she gets up and she goes and checks down there, doesn't see anything. Like, the bed's made, Mum's gone to work in her mind.
Yeah, she's
for all
like,
intents and
Mum's already
purposes.
left. Like, I don't know, like, it's just, in a day, she sort of puts it down to, I must have been dreaming. Like, it's just.
And she pops her head into Damien's room and she's like, "Oh, did you hear anything?" And he's like, half asleep, No. So she actually went back to bed.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite time for them to get up yet and get ready for school. So she's gone back and gone back to sleep.
Yeah.
What we now know is that Laura did hear her mum, but it was coming from the garage, and which was directly underneath her parents' bedroom.
Yeah.
And so that's why she thought that's where it was coming from.
Yeah.
Tanya had put the strap around Maria's neck.
Yeah.
She had then, essentially like taken her to the floor, and in the process of that,
a battle between the two of them, because they were basically very well matched in that sense that they were both very fit and strong women. So it was not an easy task for her to do, to attack Maria, as much as she's a very tiny person. And I believe
she put up a fight.
She put up a hell of a fight. Yeah. And I mean, as we said, Tanya's like a triathlete. She was very fit and healthy too. And unfortunately, she did overpower her in the end, but it was a pretty so she
nasty. Slammed Maria's head into the floor.
Yeah.
Now, this wasn't part of the plan because Joe didn't want any blood, which is why they'd chosen strangulation.
I think Maria had managed to get her hand in between the strap and her neck so that to try and stop that being held there. And that was when Tanya then had to sort of attack her more to get her hand out, and that's when she's taken her to the ground that way. Yeah. Awful.
Oh, awful. Maria, as we said, she's called out to Laura during this time, but Tanya has overcome Maria, and Tanya thinks at this point that Maria is dead. She puts Maria into the boot of her own car and drives around for nearly an hour.
Yeah.
Now, during this drive, Maria is actually moving in the boot. Tanya can hear thumping in the boot. Her testimony is that, she just felt this overwhelming sense of guilt. I say, fuck that. If you actually felt guilt, you'd drive her to the hospital and,
dump the car at the front there and walk off, whatever. But
no, you dumped it in the middle of summer and what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. Yep. Just can't. Yep.
But I think
so. She follows through on this 100%.
100%.
She walks away from that car.
She takes Maria's wallet, phone, and jewellery.
Yep. She threw that into the Yarra.
Yeah, apparently the phone rang when she was walking across the bridge, and that's why she threw it, because she didn't know what to do. She just threw it into the Yarra.
Right,
they never were able to recover that phone, so, I mean, we're taking her word for it that that's actually what happened.
Well, phone records might have shown a phone call. I don't know. Whether missed calls like that would appear.
I'm not sure. I didn't see anything about that. Well, I mean, you would think so, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And Joe then told Tanya that she needed to destroy the rest of the evidence. Mm-hmm. So she's actually done that in 2 separate places. She took the bag of things that she used to strangle Maria. So this was the strap, the gloves, I think some of the clothing that she was wearing.
Yeah. And
she's taken that to Lake Epilogue, which is where she and Joe used to do it. Gross. And she's burnt that stuff, and the police were able to go there and find just the silver belt buckles from the strap.
Yep.
She's then also disposed, I think she didn't think about all of the things that she should have been disposing of, and she realised she had the shoes. She was actually wearing Joe's shoes at the time because they didn't want any forensic evidence of her footprints anywhere.
Like Joe's shoes being in there would be, be able to be just dismissed as he lives here.
Yeah. So, but she didn't destroy those. So then she's gone and buried those in a park in Greenvale.
I didn't know about that one, right?
Yeah. And the police were able, they found it. She buried them.
Yeah.
She told them where it was. Yeah. Well, she told them where it was, and they were able to recover that evidence.
Right.
So all of her stories like really matching up, and
she's telling the truth
at
this point.
She's telling the truth. Well, I think at this point she probably felt like she had nothing left to hide.
What do you do now?
What do you do now?
At this point, though, I guess where she's coming from is that it's all been put on her. That this was solely her wanting to murder Maria so she can have Joe, where in reality it's Joe getting Tanya to do this. So he is culpable and he needs to be held accountable.
Absolutely. She even says that in her interview. She says, in her police interview, she says, I can see now that he's basically set me up for this.
Yeah.
And he can get away scot-free.
Yeah. And he shouldn't.
And of course he shouldn't. No bloody way.
No.
They never found Maria's wedding ring or the cross around her neck. And as I mentioned, they haven't found or been able to recover her phone. Given Tanya's evidence and her statements to police, and the fact that they were able to, check and make sure that a lot of what she'd said was true, the police decided to charge Joe.
Yeah.
They charged him with conspiracy to commit an indictable offence, intentionally causing serious injury, attempted murder, and 4 counts of theft, which were unrelated to the attack. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, what I read about that was obviously, so we go back here to the key that was found in the shorts at the house. So, and a little bit of a link up here of something else too. So what that key was actually for, what he was hiding that key from, he was stealing shit from his workplace. Like, what a piece of shit. And like he just on so many levels. The company apparently were like, knew that this was happening, but they couldn't work out who was stealing the stuff. Yeah, turns out it was Joe pinching all that stuff.
Yeah.
So also somewhat related to that though is that Maria wasn't feeling overly safe in her relationship. And so she actually gave a bag of things to a friend and said, if anything ever happens to me, take this to the police. So, and in that bag included quite a number of things, one being photos of things that Joe had stolen from his workplace. So I believe that also went towards that charge.
Yeah.
But also in that bag was her diary. So where she had documented quite a bit of stuff that had been going on between them.
And notably, it had all been written in Portuguese.
Yeah, so he couldn't read it.
Perfect.
Yep. Good on. Oh, wow. I need to learn another language if I'm going to be in this situation. That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Her diary, but also bank statements showing things that he'd been purchasing for his lover and all that sort of thing. But also a tube and rags and things that he had used. And this was another attempt on her life, and gushed actually backed this up originally. He backpedaled the brother on a number of things that
so
he
this
talked
is
about.
Joe's brother.
Gust. Yeah, Gust. Yep. But so the tube and the rags, Joe had given them to to Maria, and asked her to put them in the exhaust of the car so that he could check the oil levels of the car. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I am no car buff, but I am certainly...
Well, I know how to check oil, and I certainly wouldn't be shoving anything in my exhaust pipes to do so.
No, fuck no. But basically he was trying to get her fingerprints on this stuff to show that... So if he then put her in a car and did this to her and gassed her, it would come out as if she committed suicide.
Yep.
What a piece of shit. But yeah, so she was on to him a fair bit. I think actually she'd gone to Gust with it saying, like, why would he have got me to do that? And he was like, you need to be careful. So and he actually disclosed that stuff to the cops. So he then, as I say, he backpedaled later on, kind of trying to protect his brother a little bit. But so he was genuinely, there was lots of evidence there to say that he was definitely conspiring to kill her.
Yep.
But because she's still alive in hospital in this coma, it's attempted murder.
Yep.
So they arrest him on February 16th. So again, well done to the cops. There's really no time being left alone here. They are on to all this.
Oh, they're on top of it.
Day to day, they are doing more on this. Yep.
Tanya then pleads guilty to her charge of attempted murder.
Yes.
On the 28th of June in 2005.
Yeah.
The judge accepted the fact that if Tanya hadn't have met Joe, she never would have killed somebody. So the judge fully accepted that this was a singular incident for Tanya. It's not like she had this murderous intent for anybody else. And so, and for the fact that Tanya was cooperative, she pled guilty, and all of that sort of stuff, and she had an excellent chance of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
She was sentenced to 12 years in prison with a 9-year non-parole period.
Yeah.
As I said, she had an excellent prospect of rehabilitation. Tanya was released from prison in 2014, I think it was.
Yep,
and she served 9 years and 4 days of her sentence.
Yeah.
During her time in prison, she developed a relationship with a fellow inmate, who she was then released into, and was living with this woman. This woman was a fraudster, so that's an interesting choice for her to go from a toxic relationship with Joe into another potentially toxic relationship. But look, I haven't actually looked into where Tanya is today. There's not a lot of
information. I couldn't find anything. So I found a lot about when she first left jail.
Same.
But beyond that, and to me, honestly, that's good.
Yep.
I think that means that obviously, I don't know whether they're still together as a couple or what, whether they are or they aren't. She hasn't made it back into the media, therefore she hasn't been doing anything illegal.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
I kind of hope that means that she's on a far better path than before.
I would imagine so.
Let's hope. I'm sure the media will be jumping down her throat if she was ever involved in her name popped up anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Another thing that went towards Tanya's, I guess, which sort of put her in better light in terms of the court proceedings, is that she agreed to testify at Joe's trial.
Yes.
So...
and testify against him too.
Oh, testify against him. That's it. By this stage, she could absolutely see what had happened, and that she'd been coercively controlled into basically killing his wife for him.
Yeah. And I think she was starting to realise too that it wasn't just about then him saying, oh, Tanya's going to kill her so that we can be together. I think she'd really clued in at this point that his whole point here was to basically make sure that the two of those women were out of Joe's life.
Yep.
It wasn't about him getting rid of Maria so that the two of them could then rendezvous off and have a perfect life together.
He wanted to go and seek
he was done
someone
with
else
both
out.
of them.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. The defence's theory, so Joe's defense, that was that Tanya acted alone. He had no idea. But her testimony really spoke to the fact that that wasn't true at all. And I mean, there was a lot of evidence to support it as well. During this time, so Maria is still alive. Mm-hmm. Laura applied to have Joe disinherited from Maria's estate because he was actually at this point the sole beneficiary of her estate. So he stood to, she had a life insurance policy of around $100,000. She had about $250,000 in superannuation that he would have inherited, and also obviously her half of the house. So it was somewhere around the $1 million mark in terms of her her estate, her personal estate. Laura applied to the court to have that changed, and that was granted.
Yeah.
So then Laura and Damien became the beneficiaries of Maria's estate.
Yeah.
Again, during this time, Maria was essentially in a vegetative state, still in hospital. They performed lots of different tests on her to see what her viability was like, but she actually had no next of kin.
No. Because
Joe was, up for an attempted murder charge against her. Laura was an adult, but because she was a beneficiary of the state, she was actually exempt from being able to make any medical decisions. She didn't have medical power of attorney.
No.
So the decision was made that an application was made through VCAT for a court-appointed guardian, essentially.
Yeah.
And so a man by the name of Julian Gardner was appointed to oversee Maria's medical needs and whether or not, withdrawing nutrition and fluid would be, and sort of letting her come to her natural end would be the right way to go. He really took this very, very seriously.
Yeah.
He consulted with doctors, physicians, family members, friends, clergy members, so priests and...
Because, obviously her Catholic, faith would have really played a big part in what Maria's wishes would be.
That's right, because Catholics that suicide is a sin, so it's not something that Maria would want to partake in if that's the way they decided they would view this. But after a fairly lengthy process, he basically decided that they would withdraw food and like any nutrition from her, and they sort of withheld water and sort of let her come to her natural end. He met with her. He went to see her once he'd made this decision. I mean, she was, her EEG, so her brain activity was minimal. Her body was deteriorating. She was in a horrific state. She was never going to get better.
No.
And this Julian made the decision, to basically let her life come to its natural end. He said to her, there's nothing more we can do for you. And there wasn't.
No, and I think that was the right thing to do. I mean, there are other cases around the world where people have been in this state for years and years. And I just feel like, they're not going to come to and live a life. It's hard.
Look, these are decisions I think, I've had conversations like this with my family.
Yeah.
But that's assuming my family are in a position to be able to make that decision for me at the time. Well, Maria didn't have anyone.
Joe's not going to want her to die because that changes the charges put against him.
That's it.
And then there's obviously her family who are overseas, and she hasn't really been...
And I think her family didn't want...
They didn't want it happening.
But Laura did.
Yeah.
Laura
and I
wanted
feel like
her mum to be at peace.
Out of all the people, Laura knew her best and cared and loved for her most.
Absolutely.
I think that she was the best source of information in that position, because at the end of the day, it would have been her responsibility probably to take care of her mother in that state, for however long it would go on for.
Yeah, that's it.
So,
she was in such a bad way that she would have developed some kind of horrific infection, suffered even more, and that just, anyway, thankfully it ended the way it did.
I think so too.
The thing that kind of got me though was Julian made the decision that Joe could visit her for 30 minutes right before, on the day that they decided to withdraw nutrition.
Yeah.
And this bit kind of gets me, but his reasoning behind it I can understand. He says that Maria was a Catholic and Catholics forgive and want to see the best in people, and forgiveness was a core value of Maria's. That was something she sort of led her life, that was a core value for her. And so he thought that probably on her deathbed she may have forgiven Joe for what he'd done or what he'd orchestrated. And so he allowed Joe to visit with Maria for 30 minutes.
No, yeah. I
it was under police
really
supervision.
Yeah.
Not that I think that changes
if only for him to see the result of his decisions. If that is the only way you can look at it in the best way, is that I hope that really sunk it home for him that he is a sack of shit.
Total fucking sack of shit. On the 5th of August in 2005, Maria died peacefully in her sleep in the early hours of the morning.
Mm-hmm.
On the 12th of August, a funeral was held for her. There were more than 250 people in attendance. A letter that Damien had written to his mum was read out, and I can't find the full letter, but I have read excerpts of it, and it is heartbreaking, like absolutely heartbreaking.
Joe was not allowed to attend the funeral. So a couple of things here. So he wasn't allowed to attend the funeral, although his lawyer says that that Joe decided not to attend the funeral.
Bullshit.
Okay, wait. So his lawyer worded it that he couldn't attend the funeral because he would have had to apply to court to get permission. But he made the decision not to go to the funeral on the basis that his presence would increase media hype and detract from the dignity of the funeral. That's how big a man he is. What a piece of shit.
But didn't he watch the funeral on TV at home with like friends and family around him?
He held a private funeral session at the home, where he invited friends and media. And at his private funeral at home, he sang Unchained Melody.
I forgot about that bit.
And The Lady in Red.
Lady in Red. Oh, that's disgusting.
But there's so much more to follow on that particular day, though, isn't there?
There is. So the police get this like frenzied 000 call, which is our emergency number here in Australia, from Joe Korp, so from Joe's brother.
And also Joe's ex-wife.
Oh, I knew there were 2 calls. I didn't realise she was the second one. So how did she know?
So he had contacted her.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. And said he was going to kill himself.
Because that's what you do when you're going to kill yourself. You tell everyone.
Tell everyone. Yeah.
So he
also contacted journalists to tell them that too.
Well, yeah, that's how they were there.
Yeah. So he contacted the journalists originally to come to his house to be part of the funeral he was having there. But he also contacted them to tell him he was going to kill himself too.
Right. Just to make sure they had every angle covered.
Yeah.
When the police rock up, they can hear that his mobile phone's ringing in the shed. So they go, Gust must have known he was in there because Gust was waiting out the front of the shed and the shed was locked.
Yeah.
And the police have gone into the shed and they've found Joe hanging there in a shrine. Surrounded by a shrine of everything Joe loved. Collingwood memorabilia. Photos of Maria.
Multiple letters to family members.
Suicide notes.
Yeah. But in the coroner's report, it was put forward that maybe he actually didn't mean to follow through on that and that it was...
I hard agree with that.
Yeah, staged. And he accidentally tripped on the ladder because the cops couldn't get in. They could actually see him through the window, but everything was locked. And they watched him place the ladder in a particular way, and he was reaching for the ladder but couldn't grab it. And then they've managed to be able to get in and it was too late. I wouldn't be disappointed if those cops were like, oh, it's locked. I can't unlock it. Oh.
Look, I really don't.
I'm certain that didn't happen. I don't want to
No, I don't. Look, I truly don't believe that would happen. No. But I also believe that he didn't intend to kill himself. He was a fucking narcissist. He wouldn't have killed himself.
No. God, no.
The world couldn't go on without him being here.
Oh, fuck no. We all needed him. He's such a delightful person. But basically, again, his lawyer who, basically claims that, he wanted to commit suicide because, from the point of like his wife's death, he just got worse and worse. And I just believe, and when you look at the timing, he couldn't cope with his wife's death. What?
Yeah, because he orchestrated it.
Yeah. Followed up by that, the fuckstick lawyer said, and he's not wrong, but at the same time, I just don't like that he's put it out there into the ethos that Joe Corp died an innocent man. No charges against him were proven, so he died an innocent man.
Fucking yuck.
Yeah. The only
Just
thing that
don't
then
comment.
counteracts that is obviously the coroner's report.
Yeah.
Which then 100% solely put the blame on Tanya and Joe. Yeah.
He was absolutely implicated.
Yeah.
He just hadn't been tried in a court of law.
He didn't have his day in court, but
you know what? Fucking shame on him too for not pleading guilty and putting the family through a trial.
at least Tanya did that in the end. She owned up to what she did.
Yep.
And I have a whole lot more respect for that. I mean, not the fact that, she did what she did, but own up to it.
But I feel like even Tanya probably can't even believe that she did what she did.
I think so too. I think in hindsight of it all, she's kind of like, what the hell?
Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
She was a vulnerable person in this situation. And as you said, look, she absolutely committed the most heinous of crimes.
Yeah.
She could have changed the outcome of it when Marie was thrashing about in the boot. She could have changed it at so many points. But she didn't, and she has paid the price for that by spending the time that she spent in prison. Let's just hope that she lives the rest of her life, in a positive way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's Joe dying's Joe dying, whatever.
Whatevs. I mean, as much as, I would have enjoyed seeing him rot in jail for a while, I don't think he would have gotten a massive sentence, unfortunately. Just the way things go. He wasn't the person who physically strangled her. Mm-hmm. I don't know what kind of sentence he would have received.
I don't know.
You know what?
Yeah. I've just noticed the time. Again, we've gone long on this one.
So just a quick one though.
Yeah,
right?
I'll go.
Because, right. So following all of this in years after, the car that Maria was found in was put on eBay for sale. eBay ended up taking it down.
Okay.
Because the ad stated things like previously owned by Joe Corp, and the upholstery and carpet is as new and unmarked.
Okay. Who listed the car?
The owner at the time, Daniel Feller. That's a guy spokesman from eBay. Sorry. How
did he gain
James T? Whatever.
But how did he gain possession of the car?
Not real sure, but this Mazda 1995 Mazda 626 is an absolute new condition inside and out, and was purchased as a luxury car priced at $48,995 when new. I don't think anyone would have been paying that kind of money for a Mazda 626 back in 1995. But anyway, it was quite the ad of this spotless car that had unfortunately had a dead body in it for 4 days. Well, not a dead body. She was alive, sorry.
I would have just assumed they'd destroy the car.
Me too. I would have hoped for, I don't know, Laura
Are
and
you
Daniel,
sure it was the same car?
100%. Yeah, they took it down. eBay took down the ad and it was 100% the car. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just,
It's a good note to end on.
Yeah, let's end it there, shall we? So many good humans in the world.
Yeah. Yep. So true. Our next episode is on Aaron Hernandez. So it's a bit of a different tact, but
looking forward to that, actually.
Yeah, it'll be a good one to look into. So based in the States. So we're heading overseas again next week. Thank you to everybody for listening again. If you would like to buy us a coffee or a wine, head over to buymeacoffee.com/2crimebesties. And please follow us on the socials, like and follow on whatever podcasting app you're listening to.
Yeah.
And we appreciate everybody tuning in again.
Absolutely. Loving some of the conversations we're having and people inboxing and stuff lately. So thank you to everyone. We're really sort of building a little community out there in the socials. I love it.
Me too.
All right. Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.